Ghost of Tsushima, a really highly anticipated PS4 exclusive, is only now, less than 2 weeks from release, which is really exciting. We've known about the game since it was announced at Paris Games Week in 2017, and it's really exciting to finally see them right at the end of the PS4 lifecycle come out with a brand new AAA, seemingly huge open world release, since we haven't seen a game from them since the very start of the PS4's lifecycle, when they released Infamous Second Son. Infamous is the series that really, I think, brought Sucker Punch up to that next level after Sly Cooper and some of the stuff they'd done previously. But now Ghost of Tsushima, at least it appears to me, end of the PS4 generation, this next big IP that they're tackling, I think it's going to bring them to that next level once again. I want to talk about my final hopes and expectations. I did this for Days Gone, when was that? Last year? Who knows how time works? And that didn't really go too well in my favour for Days Gone, unfortunately. I didn't really like that game, but Ghost of Tsushima, I've got hopes, I've got expectations. I hope that they satisfy me, I guess. My number one main hope for this game is that it surprises us. I think there's a lot of people that are really interested in Ghost of Tsushima. People like Sucker Punch, people are into the idea of roaming this feudal Japan open world, and, all that stuff just seems pretty great on paper. But I don't know if anyone, or if a lot of people are necessarily expecting something to blow their minds. I don't know if people are going into Ghost of Tsushima in a few weeks and they're thinking they're going to get the next God of War, or they're going to get the next Last of Us, or whatever, the next enormous tentpole PS4 game, I don't know if that is necessarily an expectation a lot of people have. I don't have that expectation per se either, but that would be a great surprise if they're able to come out and deliver us an action open world game and a story experience that does really surprise us on a similar level that Horizon Zero Dawn did back in 2017, because previous to releasing that game, Guerrilla was a studio that was only known for their first-person shooters for the most part, of course, being with the Killzone series on the PS3 and, of course, early PS4 as well. So, I think Sucker Punch with this game, a great, huge high hope for me would be if they were able to come out, do something very similar to Guerrilla, release a game that we didn't know that they were capable of releasing, and it makes us think, wow, Sucker Punch made this game? Horizon Zero Dawn elevated Guerrilla as a studio, there is no doubt. Everyone looked at them as the FPS guys, and look at them now. They're such a major, I think, part now of Sony Worldwide Studios, of PlayStation Studios, and I do think that the same thing or a similar thing could very well happen with Sucker Punch, because obviously Infamous open world games, they've got that experience in the third person open world space, but not necessarily in creating a world as immersive or as realised as Ghost of Tsushima's appears to be, at least from all the gameplay and the state of play and stuff we've seen of it. Infamous has always been just a fun, open world, just fly around as a superhero, do cool shit, complete side missions, all that cool stuff. But Ghost of Tsushima looking to take more seemingly from Breath of the Wild and other more, special open world experiences, I guess, for lack of a better term. So if they're able to surprise us like that, that'd be awesome. Another thing I think everyone wants from an open world game, every open world game in general, is just a fun, beautiful open world to explore, that's rewarding to run around in, that's got plenty of shit to do, all those, checkbox stuff. We know what we want from an open world game. I think Ghost of Tsushima can absolutely deliver. It doesn't sound like a huge departure from what we're used to with these kind of open world gameplay loops. It seems like we're running around on a horse, going from destination to destination, taking over camps, collecting materials, finding hidden shit in the world, pretty straightforward stuff. I personally love that kind of gameplay loop in a video game. It's just so my jam. But Ghost of Tsushima does appear to be kind of evolving it, or at least taking a different route with it in an interesting way. We saw that with, what would you call it, like the wind kind of guiding people to waypoints was a really interesting concept, something I've never seen in a video game before. And that's an example, I think, of something that, obviously just the way open world games guide players to their destination is such a straightforward concept that a lot of developers wouldn't even think of, oh yeah, just chuck a waypoint there. But it's an example of Sucker Punch showing some creativity and wanting to try and really tie all the mechanics into the world they're trying to create with Ghost of Tsushima, really make it all fit within the feudal Japan aesthetic overall. And that's an example of that I think is really creative and special. And we've seen similar things also with the way in which animals and creatures work in the world, where birds will guide you to certain off-the-path destinations. and we saw you can pat that fox in the state of play. That was fun. So I guess from the little glimpses that we've seen, they're really going all in on the stuff that we expect from this kind of open world. And I mean, just look how cool this setting is going to be to explore, man. Like, we're so used to, I think, this generation exploring post-apocalyptic worlds. And I mean, Assassin's Creed definitely does the historical worlds as well, but oh god, I just can't wait to get lost in this open world. Just stand on the top of hills and look over at the beautiful landscapes. I'm just looking forward to playing around and really digging into this setting. It looks like so much fun. My expectation for the combat from what we've seen is that it's not going to be anything overly revolutionary. I think it looks like a pretty kind of straightforward third-person action system, similar to an Assassin's Creed style thing maybe. And as someone who really enjoys the modern Assassin's Creed games and their combat loops as well, I think that Ghost of Tsushima is going to really scratch that itch for me. And yeah, I don't know if I saw anything that was particularly like, holy shit, I haven't seen that kind of combat before in a game. The way in which the player is able to transition from stealth to regular sword combat, you know, pretty straightforward stuff. I think it looks awesome. I think all the animations and stuff are really authentic to that time period, and all that stuff looks badass. But, you know, in terms of it being very new and different, I'm not really expecting that. I'm just expecting something really fun and rewarding. And in that way, I'm fine with the gameplay feeling video gamey. Like we saw in the state of play how Jin, who's the main protagonist, he uses his bow and arrow and shit, which I think's really cool. And we see him get a headshot on a regular enemy, and how that seems to just kind of, I don't know, look super video gamey. The way the headshot's animated and the way it's executed and stuff, it doesn't look particularly realistic, but seeing that, I was actually very impressed, because I'm like, that's the kind of thing I really want. That looked like actual gameplay. That looked like something I was going to actually play myself. You know, it didn't look overly done and look overly dramatic for the sake of the demo. From what I saw of the way in which you can take over that one particular camp, either stealth-wise or not. I always like to go stealth if I can. But anyway, I think that looked really fun. A hope of mine would be that I want the story to be surprisingly memorable. I think it has potential. In the story trailers we've seen in little bits and pieces we've seen of it so far, it seems to be a story of Jin, who's this samurai, getting fatally wounded, or close to fatally wounded anyway, and him kind of coming back, sort of a revenge quest, I guess. I'm talking very vaguely because we're not 100% sure, but seems to be going on some sort of revenge quest and transforming into the Ghost of Tsushima. This guy who was once an honourable samurai, but is now just willing to go dirty and stealthy to kill his enemies. And, you know, I don't know if that sounds like the most riveting story ever. I would love it if the story ended up being really surprising and had lots of twists and turns and shit. I'm not expecting that or anything, but I do expect the story to be more resonant than I think people are giving it credit for. And just based off that premise alone, I just said I think there's a lot of room for interesting character development, to the point where maybe the story isn't going to blow our minds, but I think Jin has the potential to be quite a memorable video game protagonist in the years to come as a result of the character arc he kind of goes on. Who knows if it will be as straightforward as I just outlined. But a few other things. I love how in the state of play we've seen the in-depth customization, or the bits of armor and upgrading weapons and shit. I love all that kind of shit in video games, as long as it doesn't get too overboard. I don't like too much shit to upgrade. I don't want it to get overwhelming. But from what we've seen, I think it looks really fun. It looks like they've put a lot of effort into that side of things, so I think that could be really interesting. And just on a personal note, I think this game could be a really fun platinum trophy. Horizon Zero Dawn was a really fun platinum trophy that basically just required you to 100% the game's open world. If Ghost of Tsushima, we don't know exactly how big it is yet, but if Ghost of Tsushima is a similar sort of thing where it's just 100% the open world, find everything, do all the side quests, upgrade all your shit. And if I can do that, it's fun, it's not done in a drawn out period of time. I don't want to play this game for 200 hours or any shit like that, but if it's in a reasonable period of time, it's a lot of fun. I would love for a really great platinum trophy to be a part of Ghost of Tsushima. The great thing is we don't have very much longer to find out about all of this stuff. All our questions, all my questions, will be answered very shortly. Reviewers have the game now. The review embargo for the game is about 3 days prior to launch, so we'll know what the takes are, what all the opinions are then. But unless all these critics come out and say the game's absolutely terrible, which I highly doubt, I'll definitely be picking it up day one, and I'm looking forward to diving into Tsushima. Alright, that's enough from me. Comment below if you're interested in Ghost of Tsushima. Have you got any particular hopes or expectations? Let me know. Feel free. Do all the subscribe, like shit, all that good shit. I'd appreciate it. Alright, I'll see you all next time. Do take care, and farewell.